Hello and welcome back everyone to the first episode on SAP ABAP on HANA come S4 HANA technical training with me Anubhav. First of all, thank you all of you for subscribing for this course with us at anubhavtrainings.com. I personally welcome you all to this live sessions after our yesterday's demo class. In our today's session, we are going to look at Introduction to SAP HANA, the approaches of row versus column store, working with SAP HANA solution, how SAP HANA came into the picture or the life of SAP solutions. We will also discuss about the concepts of what it means for you and your company to work on HANA. What are the different job roles in the market? The architecture of SAP HANA in today's session. This will be a more of a theoretical class to understand the intricacies of this so-called in-memory database by SAP. Before we start today's session, I would like to quickly take you through to the link of our training blog, which is given in the chat window. Same has also been received most probably by you over the email by my team. This is our training blog. It is a self-service portal for all of you, those who have subscribed for the training, and the access of this training blog has already been granted to you. In here, you will be able to find the video recording of all our regular session as and when we complete. For example, today we are recording the class. Tomorrow before 12 a.m., 12 p.m. India morning time, afternoon time, you will be getting the recording of our second episode. And as and when over the weekends we will complete our classes, you will regularly be able to find the video recordings of those classes which are planned for you. In the class schedule tab, you will be able to find the link to join the regular classes. It's a weekend batch. You can already see the classes are scheduled. And when you click on the appointment, you will find the link to join the class. So you don't have to rush here and there to find the correct link because these links are subjected to change. So you can always find the calendar invite in the training blog to find the correct link to connect with us on the specified time for the regular sessions. In the third tab, you will find the study material for this training. You can click on the link which will take you to Drive, where you can download the PPT, PDF, documents, case studies, scenarios, and source code of our training. From today onwards, right after the class, you will start seeing a presentation over here for what we study. In the last tab, you will just find the basic detail about our start and end date of the batch. So this is our training blog. The link of the training blog is already in the chat window and access has already been granted to all of you. In case you find it difficult to access our training link or training blog, do not hesitate to write us on contact@anubhavtrainings.com and we will assist you shortly. With that housekeeping stuff, let's get started with our today's session with introduction to SAP HANA. What is SAP HANA and why it is important for us to understand and learn SAP HANA? Because as we are venturing into ABAP on HANA, we need to first understand what is HANA. So HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Appliance. It is SAP's in-memory database. Now, what is a in-memory database? Maybe you have studied databases already in your college days, school days, how traditionally a computer stores and processes the data. So usually what you have is you will have a CPU where all the computing and the processing takes place. This is where all the computation takes place. The CPU interacts with something called RAM, which is the primary memory of the CPU. RAM is a electronic device built using semiconductor technology to store the data. And then We have the hard disk where the massive data is stored for any database management system. If you ever work with the Oracle or DB2 or DB6, any database, all the traditional relational database management systems, they all store the data into hard disk, technically speaking. Now, the problem with such a database is when the database stores the data in the hard disk, it takes lot of time to fetch and load this data in the CPU, because first the data will be loaded from hard disk to RAM, then from the RAM to CPU. In the CPU also, we have something called internal CPU caches where the data gets loaded. And this is where all the computations takes place behind the scene on top of our data. Now, so far for companies like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, DB2, all the database management systems, they keep data in hard disk. Hence, it becomes very, very expensive for us to fetch the data in RAM and RAM to CPU to process it. With SAP's HANA, SAP says that they will keep all the data in the RAM. Now you may be wondering, Anubhav, this is too crazy because keeping data in the RAM is prone to loss, because if my power goes away or if I lose the connection, then all my data will be lost. So it is a good idea to improve performance to keep data in the RAM, but we have risk of keeping data in the RAM. So how do you manage that risk? So keeping that in mind, SAP have come up with the concept of hardware and software innovations, which is what made possible for companies like SAP to design such a system. Now, first of all, you can understand HANA is called an appliance. It's not called a database. So it is very different from traditional databases because HANA is a combination of hardware and software. It is not just a software. Whereas traditional databases are just a software, a HANA appliance is actually a hardware and software. That is what actually HANA is all about. It's a combination of hardware and software, which means you cannot install HANA in your personal laptop. It will not work because it needs a specialized hardware. So SAP have certified some vendors. Only the hardware provided by those vendors is certified to use SAP HANA. You cannot use any other technology or any other hardware like your personal PC to work with HANA or to use HANA as a preferred database. These three hardware vendors are Dell, Lenovo, and HP. Only these are the three certified vendors from where we need to buy the hardware to use or install HANA in our company. Which means if your company is implementing HANA or implemented HANA, it is running most preferably on one of these hardwares, which is a specialized hardware to run HANA database certified by SAP. So this is what made possible for company like SAP to design such a database. It's a combination of hardware and software. So what are the innovation happened in the industry of hardware and software which made it possible for SAP to come up with such a database? I will be talking about these innovations in the current slide, and in my next slide I will be discussing more detail about these innovations in explanation manner. So let's first start with the hardware innovation. Over the last couple of years, the memory price have significantly come down. So the cost of the memory has significantly come down in last decade or last couple of years. So cost of memory came down over years. I remember way back in 2008, I bought my first iPod and that has cost me whopping $1,500. Today, at a same cost of $1,500, I can get a memory stick which can store billions of songs, possibly all the ones which I've ever heard in my lifetime or I will hear in my lifetime, right? So that is a improvement in terms of hardware, that memories are become cheaper and cheaper, which is what made companies like SAP possible to design a database at an optimum cost to keep the data in the RAM. So a system with 250 or 350 or 500 gigs of RAM cost you less than equal to $50,000. The complete entire HANA system I'm talking about. So now you may be saying $50,000 is so much. Yes, it is so much for an individual, but if you look at a company, it's not. Companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, yes, these companies, for them, this is actually nothing. So keeping that in mind, companies, big corporations, they are ready to spend such amount of money because it's pennies for them to get a better performance. So this is what has happened over the years in the hardware industry to make memory affordable, where you can keep all the data in the RAM. Then we have also powerful backup systems where you can make sure that you are always supplying a uninterruptible power supply. Even though there is a disconnection in electricity, you will still be able to power house or give the power to your system through the power backup systems. They have improved a lot and they are able to provide a uninterruptible power supply for longer time of period, which is what makes it possible for you to still not lose the data. However, just in case there is a complete hardware failure or a natural catastrophe, you can still manage a backup of the data at a different data centers and locations. Still, at the same time, you have a backup of your RAM data in the hard disk. And in case of a system restart or mandatory system restart, the data can reload from hard disk to the RAM as well, which will increase little bit of time, is still up and running and is capable to run it on such a system. The third innovation has happened in industry is ability to deliver multi-core CPU. You might have heard about CPUs. These days, when you go and try to buy a smartphone also, you will actually get quad core processor. What is quad core processor? Quad core means one blade of CPU actually have four cores, or octa core processor, which means one blade of CPU actually have eight cores. Now, what are these cores? These cores are nothing but they are itself act like an individual CPU. So if there is an operation which you need to perform, each core can perform its own operation parallelly. So that is called multi-core CPU. So you can, with the help of the multi-core CPU, you will be able to perform multiple operations parallelly because each core itself act like a CPU. That is the third innovation happened in industry. Now there is also the hardware industry is able to fabricate large memory at portable size. So at you might have seen James Bond movies where as a size of nail you get billions of or thousands of gigabytes of memory at a size of a nail. So it is possible to make memory store and use at a very small office area rather than having a large warehouse required to store the data in a memory. So memory fabrication has become more affordable. At the same time, it has become more portable. You will really not need so much of space in office to manage or store such a memory. The next innovation happened in the hardware industry is 64-bit operating system and devices. 64-bit OS has come. So in the past, if you have studied a topic in engineering called microprocessor and microcontroller, I remember my engineering days, there was a topic of 8084 IC, microprocessor, right? If you can recall that subject of engineering, where the size of a data bus and address bus was 8-bit and 16-bit respectively. So it depends on what is the size of your address bus of a microprocessor, how much memory you can attach, and how many instructions you can give to microprocessor at what speed and what rate. Now we have 64-bit operating system, which is able to deliver the instructions to the CPU at a higher rate, at a higher pace. So our CPU can really perform massive calculations in a very short period of time. Because of the throughput time, you can transfer up to 1 gigabyte of data per second across your CPU cores. This is what makes possible computing possible very fast. So these were the innovations which has happened in the hardware industry, which made possible for companies like SAP to design such an amazing system, which gives a very good performance at an affordable cost for a company. Now coming to the software innovation in terms of database technology, what SAP have done to achieve HANA. So first one is called row versus column store, the way database stores the data. I will explain this particular topic as it's important in my next slide much in detail. Yeah. The second innovation which happened in software industries, we don't need to maintain secondary indexes. We can build aggregates on the fly. So no need to maintain secondary indexes. We can aggregate the data on fly. No need to store aggregate tables. Yes, that's a third innovation. I will be explaining all these innovation in detail in my next slide. We can use compliance along with insert only approach. It is optimized for parallel processing, and also we achieve very good compression of data. So we have compression of data, partitioning of data. We have massive parallel processing using multi-core CPU. We are able to build aggregates on the fly. We don't need to maintain secondary indexes. No need to maintain large change records. We can follow insert only approach, and that is also help us to meet compliance. Wow. So I will be explaining all this in detail in our next slide now. So let's first start with row versus column store. How the organization of data happens inside a database. So I will be comparing a traditional database with HANA with these two approaches of row store versus column store. So let's talk about row store versus column store. How a traditional database organize its data inside the database. So if I talk about a row store, for example, let me take a simple example where we store sales order data of our company. Sales order is nothing but it's a order which your company have received from its customer, right? That's a sales order for you. So since your company have received a order, there is a order number, there is a party, there is a customer who ordered it, let's say sold to party or ship to party. So say ship one. There is a material which customer have requested, let's say mat one, and let's say the amount and the currency. Now there's another order 1002, ship to party 2. Again the same material was ordered with 800 euros. Now there's another order 1003, ship to party 1, material 2 with let's say 600 euro. And 1004, let's say ship to party 2 with material 3 and let's say 400 euro. So look at this storage, how the rows are stored. So all the rows are stored in a row store database sequentially in a together. So all the rows are stored together. So you see this is the first row of the, if I just highlight for you, this is the first row of the table. This is the second row. This is the third row. This is the fourth row. So all the rows are stored together in the database at consecutive memory locations. This is how a traditional database like Oracle, MySQL or SQL Server, they store all the data in the same manner. Now, if you look at all this in current aspect, you would realize if I ask a question to the database, hey database, can you tell me what is the total sales in my company? If this is a question I ask to database, what database will do? So in order to answer this question, my database will start scanning of the data. left to right and top to bottom. So basically what happens, my database will go start scanning this data like this and extract all the amount values by scanning all the fields. Look at that, database scanning. It's going through all the data, all the cells actually. It is scanning through everything. And then after the scanning left to right, top to bottom, database is extracting these amounts and then database will calculate the total for me. Yes. So technically speaking, in order to fetch the answer of this question, database will have to scan all the cells of our table, which is not even needed to calculate the total. Yes. To calculate total, you just need amount. But since the data is stored in a row format, it's row store, it has to scan everything. Yeah. This is where the performance bottleneck comes into picture. It takes lot of time. It takes lot of time. Now, for example, understand if I change my organization, the way I store data behind the scenes, rather than storing all the rows together, if I start storing all the columns together, what happens? So let's say now I split my database, each column in a tiny table. Just for example, just understand that I split my database, all my columns into small tiny table. Now each column itself is a tiny table. Yeah, just for understanding. And I am now going to store all my columns together. So my first column data will be stored together in memory. That is order number. My second column data will be ship to party stored together in the database. For first row it's ship 1, for second row it is ship 2, ship 1, ship 2. Then the third one I have the material mat 1. Yes. Then the second one we have the mat 1 again, mat 2, mat 3. And the next one we have the amount 500, 800, 600 and 400. And then last one is euro, euro, euro and euro. Correct? So this is the way we organize our data in a column store kind of a database. Now, let me ask this question to all of you. If you want to answer in the chat window, don't worry. I will not complain to your manager. I will not send a bad email. I will not judge you also with your answers. And nobody will blame you. You can be very honest with your answers, what you feel about it in the chat window. So my question to all of you, can you tell me in this organization of data, how many cells now your database has to go through to calculate the total amount of total sales? Anyone? Would you like to guess? It has to only go through. Absolutely correct answer. It has to go through only this column. And these are the cells, 4 cells total. Earlier, whereas you were going through all the cells, yes, all the cells, but now you are just going through this one particular column block, which has 4 cells to get the data. So when you ask this question to database, according to you, which type of data store will give you fastest answer? Anyone? Row store or column store? Anyone? Row store or column store? Absolutely. The column store is going to give you the fastest answer. So in case of a column store, database do not need to scan everything. Hence, it finds the answer faster. Is this clear? Hello? Yes or no? Are you guys clear? Row store versus column store? How the column store is better than row store? Yeah. Okay. So now Anubhav, is there any case where row store is better than column store? Yes, there are cases where row store is better than column store. Let me give you second question to my database. So I say I ask my database to please get me all columns and all rows. Basically, I say select star to my database. Now let's understand what happens in case of column store when I give this question to my database that I would want to get all the columns of all the rows. What happens in this situation? So my database has to go now and it has to first go here, then jump to second cell, jump to third cell, jump to fourth cell, jump to fifth cell, and then reconstruct my first row. And then it has to go all the way again and then jump here, 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 and reconstruct my second row, row 2, and does this for all the rows. Whereas in a row store, all the rows are stored consecutively. So it will just start a scan. It doesn't have to jump over. It will just scan left to right, top to bottom, and fetches all the row. So can anyone tell me in second use case, what is your feeling? Which type of storage is better for the second use case? Anyone? For second use case, absolutely correct answer. Row store has better performance in this case. Yes. Yeah. But let me ask a honest question. Let's take an example of one of our favorite table in SAP. Let me open our SAP system. So let me ask you one example. So I go to SAP system. Yeah. And let me put here SAP system and open one database table, which at least most of you have been aware of, the material master table in SAP. I'll open Mara. Yeah, that's a material master table which stores the data. How many columns this has? This has 354 columns. Yeah, it has 354 columns in total. Now tell me, was there ever you come across a use case in your company where you needed all the columns, all 354 columns of Mara table? Were you ever need all 354 columns in your program from Mara? Anyone? What do you think? Do you ever need? Of course not. Yeah, of course not. Yes, you would never, right? So then why do we do select star in ABAP? Why? Because of our laziness. Because of the reason being we think that maybe in the future I might need some more columns. Yes. So in this situation, if you're using a column store database and if you're writing select star, then it is going to adversely perform. It will cause bad performance for your program. Yes. So if you use a column store database, it is good for performance, but it is not good for performance if we do select star. And technically speaking, you never need select star. You should definitely mention your fields in the selection. In that case, column store give you better performance. Yeah. Now, what are the other things what column store is better? Yeah. What are the other things column store save you actually? It saves lot of time and it saves lot of effort. So what happens in SAP? In SAP, if you see the first advantage of column store, there are more advantages of column store. So in order to improve the performance of database, what do you guys do? In order to improve performance, we create indexes. Yes, we create indexes in database to improve performance. What is the index? Index is nothing but a column plus a row number, yes, of that column, so that our search can become fast. So if I would want to know where all I have used material 1, I will go to the index. Index will tell me at what row number position I have the field available, in which all the rows I have my field available. That's what index does. If you look at a column store, it is actually act itself like an index. Every column in a column store will act like an index here. You can already see. So if you see here this one, if I just put the row number before this 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see already the second column. In fact, all the columns itself act like a secondary index. So now we don't need in column store, we don't need to create additional secondary indexes, which saves a lot of memory for us in our company, because each column itself can act like a secondary index. And that is the reason if you go back to SAP system today, this is my company S4 HANA system. You can go to indexes. You will actually see that some of the indexes are now deleted by SAP. They are not even there. Yeah. SAP have deleted many indexes permanently from the database table. There are some indexes already present, but there are many indexes which has already been deleted. Yes. So SAP have permanently deleted many indexes from SAP system, which if you compare with your traditional ERP or ECC system, in every S4 HANA system, you will not find so many indexes now, because many of these indexes are deleted by SAP. They are, if you look at your old system and if you look at S4 HANA system, you will find many indexes SAP permanently deleted actually, because we don't need indexes anymore, secondary indexes for the column anymore. Each column store column act like a secondary index. Now, what is the next advantage? Compression. What is compression? So let's understand like this. I know that on my first row, I'm storing my ship to party as ship 1, second row ship 2, third row ship 1, and fourth row ship 2. So what I can do is I can rewrite this data in a different manner. How I can rewrite? I can rewrite like this. I can say my first row and my third row is store ship 1. My second row and my fourth row store ship 2. So basically my character data I am not storing again and again. So you can actually see earlier everywhere we were in row store, we were storing this data for every column, even though the data is repeating. But in column store, we are not. We are only storing one data one time. And we are just saying, okay, 1 and 3. So this way we get automatically a good compression. So it will minimize our volume of data which is being stored in the database. And when you want to read the data, system will go and read the data based on index first, then it will fetch the data for you. So that is another advantage. And you know, computer can process a number faster than character. And if you look at your current data in ERP, if I look at, let's say, for example, this table only, most of our data, if you see, they are duplicate. You see, it's a duplicate data. You see, so in a row store database, all this duplicate data is stored physically in the database in form of rows. But in a column store database, it is not stored actually multiple time. It is stored in a compressed format like this. Yeah. And computer can process these, play with these numbers to compute the data, and then only finally it will deal with the characters and other type of data types. So that way your computation become much faster. Now suppose you ask this column store database a question: tell me the total sales. So what computer will do? It has multiple cores actually. Remember the multi-core CPU? So it has multiple cores. So what happens is, let's say it has multiple cores. So one core will go and calculate total of these two. Another core will go split the data, calculate the total of these two. And then finally, whatever result come from each core, the third core will combine that result. So basically your computation is split across multiple cores and it can process the data at much faster speed. This is called parallelization. Yes, parallelization. It can parallelize your processing by dividing your entire column data into multiple pieces. So that is another advantage you get when it comes to a column store database. Yes. Now, next advantage is the approach for insert only, or basically the change log. So what happens in traditional database? For compliance reason, if somebody modify the data, we have to maintain change record in SAP, right? If you heard about change record in SAP, suppose a user go and modify this amount from 500 to 800. So what happens in a row store? This entire record will be rewritten in the database actually. Yes, with the modified data as let's say 800. So unnecessarily, we are wasting so much of memory for entire row. This is your change record. Let me change the color. This is your change record, which says this value got changed. Yeah. So unnecessarily you wasting lot of memory actually. Lot of memory. So what happens in case of a column store? System will insert one more row with the updated data. Let's say 800. So our first record change from 500 to 800 is insert one more data. For record number one, it says now the record number one is 8000 and it will also put a timestamp. So at let's say 8 a.m. in the morning, this was the value. Yes, this was the value at 8 a.m. in the morning, and at 10 a.m. in the morning, the record has changed to 800. So now what happened is you automatically got the compliance, because for compliance reason you need to track what data changed at what time. This is a legal requirement in companies. Yes. At the same time, you've not rewritten the whole row. The third advantage is when you read the data, when you fire select query, system will automatically give you the data with the latest timestamp. Latest timestamp is 10 o'clock. So system will never read this data for you, but it is there in the system for logging purpose. Yes, this is called insert only approach in HANA. So this way you will basically not write the entire row again in the database, and also you will be able to achieve the compliance for your company. Yes, so this usually is written inside something called a delta store in HANA. So in delta store is nothing but a record which was modified by user is written in a delta store, and this delta store is regularly merged with the main store where the data is being stored. So that is something which our database administrator can also take care. So for compliance reason, this is very good and it doesn't eat up whole lot of memory what in case of row store was being eaten. So these are some of the advantages which was possible by SAP by choosing the data store as a column store. Actually, HANA is a column store database. Most of your ERP table in SAP S4 HANA are now column store table. Let me show you the standard table Mara. How can you check if it's row store or column store? You can come back to technical settings and you can actually go to database specific properties, and here you see what happened. Mara table, which is a standard SAP table delivered by SAP since many years, it is now a column store table. SAP have converted most of their tables to column store now. Yes. So will you be responsible for Mara, VBAC, VBAP, EKKO, BSEG? Are you responsible for these tables? Anyone? Will you be able to change this to row or column store? No, it is SAP's job. These are standard tables provided by SAP. So SAP have already changed it. So then what is there for me? So if in your company you are working on a S4 project, you're working on a HANA project where you have a table, custom table built by you, and it was earlier, built by you. Now you can go ahead and change it to a column store in the database specific setting. So it will take everything in the background. So what I've explained you here, this is all happening in the background inside HANA. I wanted to give you an overview of what HANA is doing behind the scenes. So this is the internal kitchen of HANA. Okay. This is the internal kitchen of HANA, how HANA is dealing with our data. So next time when you go back and you look at any database table you built in your company, you can accordingly choose what should be my storage. So only for custom table you are allowed to change the setting, and it's not a simple switch. It is actually a lot of work for database. So if you're changing a table from row to column store or vice versa, then it is so much of work for database. So please make sure that you do this setting when the system is not much busy. Yeah, not much busy. Now you will do it simply with the SE11 only. You don't have to use any special tool for that. So this is how the HANA database work behind the scene. So can you create a custom table in column store? Absolutely you can. Absolutely, it's the same way. So there is nothing changed for developer still go to SE11. Developer still go give the classes and give the columns and save and activate. It is same thing. It is same thing. No change for you. But This is how internally, behind the scene. Yeah. What am I saying? This is behind the scene. Database is processing our data. Any question on row versus column store? Please feel free to ask. You can unmute your line and ask the questions in case you have any questions. So default storage type now is a column store. That's a default now in any HANA based systems. Yes. So it is the same process, it's just the behind the scene, how system is dealing with our data and database tables. All right. So now question comes, Anubhav, if my manager asks me when to go with row store or when to choose column, how can I tell? Is there any rule book? Is there any processing or rule book given by SAP where I can do that? Yes. So row store versus column store. When can I choose row store and when can I choose column store? In general, if in my company I'm working on a project, how I decide what store type to choose, yeah, row or column. So let's understand that. So when to go with the row store and when to go with the column store. So first of all, you go with row store if the select star on our table is unavoidable. Yes, if you are using a table where it is important for you to do select star every time in your program, then go with the row store. Next, when you do not have when you do have most values as unique values, so which means your compression will not be good. All the values are unique means they are different in most of the column. Then you go with row store because you will not be able to achieve much of compression because all values are different. You will not be getting the benefit of compression. So then you will go with the row store. Third, if the data volume in table is low, means table size is very small. Yes, you don't have much record in the table. You can go with the row store, no problem. Yes, if the table has more write operation than read operation, which means your data in the table is written many time. You writing the data as compared to reading operation. So you're doing less of reading operation but more of writing operation. In that case, the size of your delta store will become very big and it doesn't make sense to go with the column store type of database. Usually all the org tables and configuration tables in SAP are built using row store. The guideline is very strict, which means in general, if you're not able to decide, don't go with row store because it's a very strict behavior or nature. So if you are, let's say in general, sometime you're not able to decide, go with the column store. Don't go with the row store because guideline for row store is strict in nature. Now, when to go with column store? If your table, we want to apply the aggregation on data like sum, min, max, average, count. If we apply aggregation on data, which we do very often, many time you will count, calculate total. You perform lot of queries on your table with aggregation. In that case, column store give you best result. Look at our example. What was the total sales? How do you get that? You write a query with select sum. Yes. So what you are doing? You are aggregating the data. In this case, column store has a very good performance. So that is one reason to go with column store. When our table columns, most of the table columns have duplicate values, which is true in SAP. in large tables which store master and transaction data. So let me show you again example of Mara. So if you go to this table, most of the column have repeating values. You see, you see material group repeating. Most of the repeating values are there. You see repeating values. So whenever you have repeating values, most of the values are repeating, coming again and again. In this situation, the compression will be very good. Compression will be very good. So go with the column store, which is true in case of SAP system or SAP tables. Yes, SAP have already changed most of their tables to column store, which means it's a best practice. There is a reason why SAP did that, right? And that is why we consider it as a best practice. Then if the volume in the data is very high, which is also true in most of ERP table, they have high volume of data. They have high, so many records in the database. Yes. So that is why we have the high volume of data. Then if we read table more often than write, which is true also in a typical system, we write more select query than insert or modify queries, right? Or modify statements. So usually if you have written 10,000 lines of code in last 1 year, just think about it. How many percentage of those lines were select query and how many of them were insert, modified, update? Very less, right? So more select is being done than insert. In a typical ERP, 70% are read operations. Only 30% are write operation. In a typical BW, over 95% are read operation and only 5% are write operations. Yes. So these are the criteria on the basis of which you will decide when to go with row versus column store. Based on this, you will also get interview and certification question. This itself is an interview question, when to go with row store and when to go with the column store. In fact, in interview, they will also ask you explain the row store versus column store. So the answer will be the row store, all the rows are stored together in the database, which will be very costly, especially when we apply aggregation. In column store, all the columns are stored together, which helps us achieving avoiding of unnecessary secondary index, perform aggregations on the fly at a faster pace because less number of cells needs to be gone through, achieve a good compression, avoid writing large volume of change logs, and insert only approach makes the compliance possible. So this is why it is preferred to go with the column store over the row store. That is what we can see or we can understand over here when it comes to our data. All right, moving on. Let's now talk about the quick. So now you understand why HANA came into picture and what are the benefits of SAP HANA. So with this, we can quickly go and understand what it means for a developer. So you see, HANA is a very powerful database. It's expensive also. As I mentioned, it's a multi-core CPU, keeps all the data in the RAM, specialized hardware, right? So keeping all these things in mind, it's an expensive system. It's not a normal software. It's a very, very expensive installation and setup for a company. So when a company implement HANA, they also want to leverage the power of HANA. So how it changes our perspective. So let's understand developers' point of view. What it means for me, my life. Yes. So as a developer, what it means for me, Anubhav, if I am using HANA database over the traditional RDBMS system. So usually let's talk about our three-tier architecture in SAP. As you all aware, as a consultant, we have three-tier architecture in SAP and all the three layers: presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. Yes. So in the past, how we used to write the ABAP program, or in fact, most of you till today, what is your traditional way of writing ABAP program or ABAP code or functionality in SAP when you develop some functionality in SAP? So as a developer, what we do typically, we basically create a program with selection screen. Then we create our data objects, data variables, declare types and variables. Then we write select query. We write select from database to into our internal table. Yes. Then we do loop and process data. And then we display data to the user. This is our mode of operation. So in this mode of operation, we use our database as a dump yard of data. We don't care what database we are using. We just use database as a dump yard. Just pump and dump the data. Yes. Just pump and dump the data. Yes. That is what we are actually doing in the database. As a consultant, this is what we are doing actually, right? So more and more logic is processed in the ABAP layer. Majority of your processing of code happens in the ABAP layer. So let me write this by indicating the processing. So this is our processing, and I'll change the color so that it looks much better. Okay. So more and more processing happens in ABAP. Yes. This is where majority of our processing happens. And we use database as a dump yard of data. But now we are saying we are going with HANA. Now a HANA system typically cost you $50,000, let's say. Yeah. So $50,000 is what you spend. You spend for what? You spend for multi-core CPU, powerful computing, keeping data in the RAM. So definitely when you buying a Lamborghini car or a BMW over a Maruti Suzuki or Hyundai or Honda, you would expect it to run with a good speed, give you a good pickup, yes, give you a very desired speed and performance. That's why you buy a luxury car, absolutely right. So this is the luxury you bought. So now this luxury have the power, and the power will not come to you out of the box. Yes, some power will come out of the box, but you have to change the way you code also as a developer. So what SAP says, going forward, you should not do most of the processing in ABAP layer. You should try to push down. Yeah, try to push down. Try to push down. Try to push down. Try to push down your logic into database. Yes, that's what going to give you best performance out of this luxury car, this luxury. Yeah, you can take full advantage of database by pushing down your business logic more and more deep into database, and only transfer the final result to the ABAP layer. So this is called code to data paradigm or code push down, where you are pushing more and more into database actually. Yes, you're pushing down more and more logic deep into the database, and database is where all the processing takes place actually. Yes, this is where all the processing takes place. So now in this training, I am going to teach you many of the techniques to achieve code push down. This will be the first objective of our training. Is this clear, everybody? What is the objective of our training? In this training, what will you learn? You will learn how to leverage this luxury car to take the best performance out of it. Yes. How to do code push down, how to push down your business logic deep into the heart of database, which is HANA. Is this clear? Hello. The goal is clear for you, yes or no? What is code push down and what you will learn in this training? Yes. Very good. Okay. So
Hello?
let me take up some
Anubhav.
question from the chat window. So there are two questions, one from Saket. So it is the same old table creation, just the backend process is different. Correct answer. The table creation process is still the same in SC11. Is just the internal organization of data, how database processes your database. Yeah, that is the internal organization of data. So this is something what internally HANA does. We don't have to care. Our process from developer point of view is same. What changes from us, our side, from developer side, is this technique will change, which I will teach you. So are the columns in the column store are not stored consecutively, linearly? So in column store, all the column data is stored. Yeah, all the column data is stored. Columns are still stored linearly, but the column data, I'm saying column data, I'm saying column data. So column data is stored together. Yes, all the column data is stored together. It's the data organization technique. I hope that answer your question, Radhika.
Um, Anubhav, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So my assumption is that like in the column store, columns are stored like side by side. Like in the row store, we have like 1001, ship one, mat one, right? So in the column store, all columns like side by side, like 1001, 1002, 1003, like that. So is it like stored vertically or like horizontally?
They are stored vertically as depicted in this picture.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we understood.
In the
Yeah.
like in the code system, right? So you see that as the HANA is in memory database, so I mean all the data is stored in the RAM, right? Where exactly the RAM lies, like in this three-tier architecture, like we have application server and database server, right? So
Uh-huh.
where exactly,
Okay. So
it
HANA is stored in a laptop. So just think about in your company, you have your company have purchased a laptop. Yeah? Your company purchased a hardware actually. Yeah. So on one hardware, on one laptop, your company have installed the the ABAP system. Yeah. So on one laptop, they have installed the ABAP system, the SAP basis, which we call it as. Yeah. So they one laptop they've installed the basis, this application layer. Yeah. Then your company purchase another laptop from Dell or let's say Lenovo or HP. Yeah. On this laptop, your company installed HANA, HANA database. Yeah. This is your HANA database ka wala laptop, HANA server actually installed here. So now what they do, they will connect these two laptop via the LAN cable, via the network. So the RAM which I talked about, where the data is kept, it is kept in this laptop at the bottom where you install the HANA in this hardware. This hardware will have, so this hardware will not have much RAM, but this hardware on which you are installing your database will have the high size of RAM, perhaps 500 GB RAM. This one 32 GB RAM, where you install your application layer, also known as SAP NetWeaver. Okay, does that answer your
okay.
question?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you all, what you all do in your company, you all have your company laptop, your personal laptop, where you install what? Anyone? Can you guess? You all have your own personal laptop, your company laptop, which your company give to you. What do you install in these laptops? Anyone? The GUI. Very good answer.
Yeah.
So on all your company laptops, your company will install this GUI software. Yes. Using this GUI software, what do? You add your server, you connect to your SAP server, which is installed here. This SAP server behind the scene connect to this server, this database server, where the RAM is very high. Okay. That is the behind the scene what is happening, hardware is managed. Again, this is not our cup of tea. That is typically managed by administrators. So our we are what, we are developers. Our job is to optimally run our app code faster. That's our job. How to build application which run faster on HANA. That's our job. Our job is not where what is installed. This I taught you just to make you comfortable about HANA database. But again, this is again not relevant. What is relevant for us to understand this? because that is developers view, that we have to push down more and more logic to the database level. That is what we want to do. Okay, so having said that, let's take a quick break. As we are halfway through, I will have a 5-minute break, and then on the other side of the break, I will begin with how HANA came into existence, a bit of history of HANA, and how it got attached with multiple SAP solutions. Let's take a break and come back after a short break. Okay, everyone, please come back after the break. So before the break, we talked about what is HANA, what is row versus column store, and advantage of why SAP chose column store as a preferred store for HANA database. We also discussed about what it means for you and me as a ABAP consultant to develop application on HANA. Now we will discuss about the evolution of HANA and how different tools and technology works together, where all HANA is used in what are all SAP products. We will also talk about the concept of how the different job role works in the market which are around the HANA database. So let's first understand how HANA came into picture. So evolution of HANA. So as you all aware that we use SAP, and SAP follows the three-tier architecture. For simplicity, I'm not putting here the presentation layer. I'm just putting the application layer and the database layer. So imagine your company is using SAP since last 20 years. In the past, you have the SAP ERP, which is very popularly known as ECC. Let's say it was working on Oracle. So in 2012, SAP came up with the concept of HANA. It was a radical innovation according to SAP. So when SAP came with HANA, do you think a customer will immediately adapt the SAP's HANA database by throwing away all their investment of Oracle? In 2012, I'm talking about, if you are in 2012, SAP says, here is my new product. Will you throw away all your Oracle and existing assets of data and use SAP's new database? Will you trust? Of course, no customer, right? So SAP also don't want customer to disrupt anything, right? Because it's a very new technology, right? So nobody wants to take a chance. So, but SAP wanted to see the power of HANA. So what they said to some customers, they went to only few customers and they say, hey, don't replace your Oracle with HANA, but just copy. Yeah, just go ahead and copy your data from your existing Oracle database to my HANA database. Yes, just copy. And SAP also come up with something called HANA driver. So they come up with HANA driver, and SAP says you just copy the data and use my HANA driver to connect your existing ERP from my HANA to my HANA database through this driver, through this driver. So then you run the report through the driver connecting to HANA. What you run on Oracle, run it also here. So I remember way back in 2013, I was part of one of the implementation where they did this in one of the biggest bottle company in China. And there a report used to take like somewhere about 40 hours, and that report got executed in 6 seconds on top of HANA. Yes. So the customers was like very happy. Also in one of the company in Europe, there was a Vienna insurance group where there was a report which used to take like 10 days in a background job for calculating commission for insurance agents. It ran into just 3 hours. Yes, can you imagine? So customers were like very amazed with the performance of HANA, of course. And SAP was also proved at their point that it works. It is their innovation and it is an in-memory database. Now this was called as sidecar approach. So what is sidecar approach? It's like you buy a new car. Before buying the new car, you don't sell your old car. You keep the new car also and you keep the old car also, and slowly you will migrate. Yeah. So this is what is called sidecar approach. HANA was working as a sidecar, not as a main database, but customers were copying the data and using the driver to connect to it to run their reports to get the same result faster. But then over a time, customer got belief. SAP also got belief that what they built, what they innovated is very successful. So then came the era where SAP started using as a HANA as a primary database. So first they come up with BW, because most of the BW operation, as I mentioned, BW is a business warehouse system. Their all operations are read operations. So SAP first announced that now the BW system can run on top of HANA. The version of BW must be 7.31. This must be the BW version. It can run directly on HANA. No need to use Oracle or anything or sidecar. Yes, this was called as BW on HANA. It came way back in 2015. So SAP came up way back in 2015 with BW on HANA. It was also called as Project Orange. That was the code name of this project. Yeah. So they announced that now you can run BW system directly on HANA. But customers started demanding more. They say, can you also run my ERP as well? Can I run my ECC also on HANA? So way back in 2016, around end of 16 or 17, SAP announced also that now you can run your SAP ERP, your ECC system also on top of HANA as a primary database, which means now you can replace your Oracle with HANA database to get the much desired performance improvement. This is what SAP have done. So this has become Suite on HANA. So this product was called as SAP Business Suite on HANA, where your ERP solutions like ECC, CRM, yeah, you had heard about CRM, HCM, PLM, SRM, all these are part of SAP big ERP, which is called Suite. So your entire business suite can run on top of HANA as a primary database. And for this, the mandatory requirement was your SAP ECC must be on NetWeaver 7.4. You must upgrade to 7.4, and then you can connect HANA as a primary database so that it can run on top of HANA. So this is what SAP have come up way back in 2015 December or early 2000 or mid of 2016 is what that was announced. So customers started using HANA as a primary database, replacing their Oracle or MaxDB or any other database. So this is how HANA adoption was improved in the industry. But what happened is the ECC, it has lot of tables. Like I was telling you, secondary indexes were there, lot of aggregate tables were there, lot of unnecessary database tables were there, which were now become useless when you use HANA. But those garbage or that those things were there in the system. So performance improved, but not to the extent what SAP was anticipating because of garbage, because of old tables, old systems, yes, old artifacts. So then SAP announced a completely new product in the market. In 2015 only they did the announcement. So this was way back actually in 2014. This was 14 15, and at the end of 15 in December, SAP announced a completely new product where they say we will change this ECC to a completely new system called S4HANA. Now, S4HANA is the new ERP which was built and designed and delivered in 2015. Yes, 2015. This is S4HANA was introduced. So S4HANA is not an upgraded version of ECC. It is basically completely new ERP built from scratch. Yeah. So this is a very interesting question your manager might ask you. Is S4HANA same as ECC? No. S4HANA and ECC are completely different product by same company. They are two different ERP solutions by SAP. Yeah. It's a completely new ERP. It's a completely renovated ERP. Now that itself is hidden in the name of S4HANA. So in the S4HANA, S stands for simplified and 4 stands for fourth generation ERP. It's a completely new ERP solution by SAP. Okay, this was introduced way back in December or September 2015 was the first release of S4 HANA. Simplified ERP. Now, the S4 HANA can only and only run on HANA database as a database. The business suite can run on Oracle also. It can run on MaxDB, DB6, yes, MySQL, SQL Server. It can. But S4 HANA, as the name suggests, it only and only runs on HANA. You will never see any customer running S4 HANA on a Oracle database. It cannot. Yeah, it cannot. So this is one major difference between business suite or suite on HANA and S4 HANA. That suite can run on any database, but S4 HANA cannot. It only runs on HANA. So now they've completely eradicated the use of Oracle or any other third party databases. Yes. Now, what is in common between S4 HANA and suite on HANA is the technology stack. The technology to do that is ABAP on HANA. So ultimately, as a ABAP on HANA developer, you will be able to develop and maintain both these products actually. Yes, both these products. So ABAP on HANA is the technology. Basically, you are learning ABAP on HANA. You are engineers, software engineers. You will be learning ABAP on HANA. That's the technology. Let me simplify this for you. Let me simplify this for you. Can anyone tell me one of the most used cars by Indian, the company which introduced a affordable car in India, and that company become a super hit today? Actually, they are selling most of the cars in India. What was that brand? Which was the, yes, Maruti. And what was that car which Maruti introduced in India way back in 90s? Absolutely. I'm sure some of your dad or your uncle or your grandparents have driven that car, Maruti 800. Yes, that was the old car given by Maruti as a company. Now think about a suite on HANA is Maruti 800. Yes. And recently, what was the newest model Maruti introduced, which was also a big hit in market in 2000, around 2010, 2012? Anyone? Do you remember the model? Swift. Very good. That was a very big hit for Maruti company. Yes, Maruti Swift was a Swift Desire and Maruti Swift was a big hit for the company. So just think about Maruti 800 and Maruti Swift Desire. So your S4 HANA is Swift Desire or Maruti Swift. That's a new model of the car. Yeah. And 800 is the old model of the car. They're completely different. Yeah. In their design, in their speed, in their performance, everything. Their parts are different. It's a complete redesign. So today, if you go to Maruti showroom, can you buy Maruti 800? Can you buy Maruti 800 if you go to Maruti showroom? You cannot. Yes, you cannot. Why? Because it's an outdated model. Similarly, if you are, let's say you are the CEO of a company, you are the Anil Ambani or your Mukesh Ambani. If you go to SAP and say, I want to implement SAP in my company, what is that product? What is that product SAP sell to you? Anyone? If you want to implement a SAP ERP in your company, you are the head of the company and you want to implement a SAP ERP in your company, which product will SAP sell to you in the market? Yes, this is the product, S4 HANA. Will they sell you Suite on HANA product? Anyone? Will SAP sell you Suite on HANA product if you go to SAP? No, because it's outdated. In fact, there is a deadline. By 2029, this product will go out of maintenance completely. So all the customers using Suite or Business Suite on HANA, they will not be able to get maintenance from SAP from this software. So if they find a bug after 2029, SAP will not fix that bug. Just like Maruti is stopped the support for 800. If some of you by chance have Maruti 800 and if some part is not working, Maruti will not give you the new part. They don't have. Yeah. So they will not maintain Maruti 800 at all. You cannot service that car, old car. You cannot. Yes. So that is the difference between Maruti 800 and the Maruti Swift. Yeah. So S4HANA is the latest ERP in the market introduced in 2015. If your company want to implement any ERP from SAP, the only solution which is available now in the market is S4HANA. Yes. And the suite on HANA, which is the old solution, will be outdated. But If you are an automobile engineer, question to all of you, if you want to become an automobile engineer, you want to do engineering, what will you learn? Will you learn Maruti 800, Maruti Swift, or will you learn the Hyundai Creta or i10 or i20 or Tata Nano? What will you learn? Anybody, anyone in the room, will you go and learn each car separately? If you are an automobile engineer, if you are an engineer, will you learn a model of a car? Will you learn a particular model of a car? No. What will you learn? You will learn technology. What's the technology you will learn? Petrol engine or diesel engine technology. Yes or no? Anybody? If you are an engineer, won't you go and learn petrol engine or diesel engine technology as an automobile engineer? Absolutely. So if you are an engineer, if you are an engineer, what will you learn to maintain and build these solutions on top of these products? You learn the technology. So what is ABAP on HANA? ABAP on HANA is a technology. Is this clear, everybody? The difference between ABAP on HANA, Suite on HANA, and S4 HANA? ABAP on HANA is a technology for developers. By learning this technology, you will be able to work with either Suite on HANA also, which is an old product. You can also work with new product, which is S4 HANA as well. Is this clear? Hello, everyone. What is ABAP on HANA? Is the technology. So if in interview somebody asks, tell me the difference between S4 HANA and ABAP on HANA, what will be your answer? S4 HANA is a product. It's a ERP product by SAP. It's a simplified fourth generation ERP introduced in 2015 by SAP as a product. And ABAP on HANA is a technology which I learned, I studied, I am certified to, to work as a developer on that solution. With that technology, I can work on any solution of SAP. Is this clear? Hello. The question which was asked by some of you in the last class, difference between ABAP on HANA, S4 HANA and Suite on HANA. Is the difference clear, everybody? Any question on this slide, please ask. Please ask. Difference is clear? So as a developer, we learn the technology. We don't learn a particular solution. Yeah. But if you are a functional consultant, then there is a difference. As a functional consultant, you have to learn S4 HANA, because then only you will be able to understand functionality differently. Yeah. So functional consultant point of view, it will be a big difference. But from a technical standpoint of view, we will learn ABAP on HANA. So SAP, ECC, SRM, HCM, CRM system are merged into one S4HANA system. Yes, they are merged into one system as add-ons. So with S4HANA, if your company want to use CRM, they can go with CRM add-on. They can go with SRM add-on or HCM add-on. So that is an extra sugar on your tea. So more sugar you want, more sweeter it becomes, right? So depending on what your customer need, you will add add-ons on top of it. So you will not have separate blocks now. You will have add-ons on top of S4HANA for CRM, PLM, SRM, and different things. Like recently in India, around 5 years ago, we got GST. So SAP built a GST module. Yeah, it was an add-on. You need to add that if you are using S4HANA in India. Once you install that add-on, then you can, your S4HANA system support GST in India. Yeah, so that is an add-on. So this is how the solutions came into existence and they work together. In so as a developer, for us, we are technical people, we are engineers. We will not learn particularly one solution. We will learn ABAP on HANA technology, which will help you to serve as a developer for all kind of solutions. Perfect. All right. So that is the evolution of HANA. Now let's talk about
Anubhav,
the different job roles in market.
Anubhav,
Or
I have a question.
yes, please.
So when you talk about the S4 HANA or ABAP and HANA, when we log into Eclipse tool, are we entering into ABAP and HANA or S4 HANA there?
We are actually connecting to this solution. The solution which your company has bought is S4 HANA, but your profile will be ABAP on HANA developer. When you get a job description in market, what will you get? Job description, ABAP on HANA developer. Yes. When you read on job portals, they will say, we are looking for ABAP on HANA developers or S4 HANA developers. What is they looking? They're looking somebody who have worked or experienced on this technology.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So how does this different solution works? Let me take a practical example. Imagine about Walmart. So Walmart have many stores across different countries, and let's assume US. In US itself, they have multiple stores. So one store they have in Miami, one in Santa Clara, one in Kings County, and one let's say in New York City. Now they implement ERP to do their accounting and their order management. Yes. So they implement a ERP and all their POS machines are connected to this ERP system. So when you go to any supermarket, when you buy something, they will scan the barcode of the product and they will cut a bill for you, right? So all this data is going to, let's say, ERP system. And let's say they are using S4 HANA ERP. So the first use case of HANA database is to actually store data for a ERP in the HANA. So this is the first use case where HANA is used as part of ERP system. Yeah, as a, and this type of systems are called OLTP system. OLTP stands for online transactional processing system. Online transactional processing system, OLTP. Yeah. That is what, where HANA is used. The first thing where company can use HANA. The second place where company can use HANA, data is considered as new gold. Yeah, data is considered as new gold. So if I have last 20 years of data in my company, I can leverage the data to take better and informed decisions in the future. So I can look at my, let's say if I'm Apple, my company is Apple, they can look at last 10-year data and they say, okay, during Thanksgiving days, how many iPhones were sold the most? Yes. How many iPads were sold? How many MacBooks were sold? So based on that, they will plan their inventory on the next Thanksgiving. Or let's say if I'm an insurance company, I will decide during a pandemic which type of insurance policies are sold the most. So I will introduce accordingly the plans in case of a new pandemic, right? So data is considered as a new gold. Many companies rely on the past data to take better decisions in the future because data speak itself. So what happens in companies? Companies have something called a business warehouse system. It's also known as BW, where they will combine massive data coming from different systems. So data is not stored in one system alone. Data is spread across multiple systems in a company. Imagine big company like Walmart, they let's say they use Oracle Finance for their finance activities. They are using Salesforce.com for their CRM activities. Yeah, they are using factory and warehouse management along with procurement in the S4 HANA, which is a SAP solution. Yes, they are using for human capital management, they are using HCM or Workday. Yes, so these different companies, different solutions are using. Now data is spread across these systems, many systems. So what do you need? You need a single source of truth of data. So what do? You will do data provisioning. You will bring the data from many sources ultimately to your single system. Let's say SAP BW would be that system. So then you do data provisioning. So data provisioning is an activity where you will load the data from other third party and SAP and non-SAP systems to the single system. That is what is done using data provisioning. So a BW system, as I mentioned, also need a database. And this is the second use case of HANA, where companies use BW system on top of HANA database. So another use case will be where a BW system is using HANA database as that primary database to store data, which is coming from multiple sources. So this process, by the way, is called as ETL. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So you have to fetch the data, transform the data. Why transform? Because data from different system is in different formats, like time zone is different, currencies are different, date format, time format, yes, currency format, everything is different. So you have to transform and then you got to load. So this is a second activity which company does. Once the data comes in BW system, it is still spread across multiple database tables. So you cannot use, one table for your data insights. So what companies does? They combine all the tables, all the database table they combine, and this process they call it as data modeling. So what is data modeling? Data modeling is a process of combining multiple tables together in a single single block, which is called as data modeling, and we build models. If you are worked on BW, you might have worked on DSO, data source objects, or BEX queries. What are these? These are data models. So once you build the data model, on top of this data model, now you can extract your information which is relevant for reporting purpose. So then we do reporting, and for reporting, companies are using many tools in the market. So there are many tools in the market which are specialized for doing just the reporting. Extract the data and report it in a more meaningful manner so that users and CEOs and CIOs, company heads, they can understand that. So we have one type of tool. If you heard about SAP Bobject, Business Object, which was a Paris-based company acquired by SAP in 2007. So that is one tool available in market for analyzing your data. Then you might have heard about uh, Power BI from Microsoft. Yes, you might have heard about Tableau from Salesforce.com. You can use simple Excel file to analyze your data, or you can also use nowadays SAP Analytics Cloud. So once you are done with the data modeling, once your models are ready, which are the basically backbone for your data analytics, what you eventually do, you will consume all this data which is there in the BW system to these analytical tools, and this is called online analytic processing, or also known as OLAP. OLAP. So uh, some of the OLAP tools like Analytic Cloud, they also use HANA database. Yes, to store the data. So some data you will fetch and store even in HANA with Analytics Cloud. I will teach you Analytics Cloud little bit in this training. There is a session where I will show you how do you consume your S4 HANA data which is exposed via CDS view in the analytics cloud. This is part of your training. Don't worry. So that time you will understand it even much better. So HANA is everywhere in all SAP solution, whether it is a ERP system, whether it is a BW, or whether it is a reporting system for data reporting. So HANA has multiple use cases across, and since there are multiple use cases, there are multiple job opportunities in the market, and we need to understand what are the different job profiles and job opportunities which are available around HANA in the market. And especially we need to understand what is my duty as a consultant, as a ABAP and a consultant. With this training, what are you going to get through? What are the benefits you're going to get with the help of this training? How it is going to help you in your career, in your job, in your mission of increasing your package, how it is going to help you. So let's understand now what are the different job roles and job profiles in the market. So the first kind of job which comes in the market is actually called as HANA administrator. So HANA database administrator profile is the first kind of job profile which does exist today in SAP system for HANA. So what is the role of a HANA database administrator? Let's try and understand that. So job of a HANA database administrator is basically to go ahead and install the database on hardware. Yes, that's the first job. Then take database backup and recovery. Yes, manage the database performance tuning, handle users and permissions inside the database. Upscale database with new hardware. Suppose your company data increase from 100 GB to 500 GB. So you have to attach new hardware and handle that database in a distributed manner. So that is the job of a HANA administrator. They will also takes care of overall system security and system management. Yes, managing database backups, checking roles, running and executing batch jobs in database, analyzing database performance, doing database recovery, taking care of fail-safe mechanism of database, load analysis. Yes, load analysis on database. Time to time, they will perform load analysis if database is overloaded, slow. If there are complaints from the business that database is slow, they will be doing load analysis and checking where the issues are coming from. Either it is a hardware issue or database issue. Get in touch with SAP. Takes care of upgrades, HANA upgrades. Yes, whenever new version of HANA is available, they will take care of database upgrades. Now, my question to you, is this what our duty as a developer? Anyone? Is this what you do in your company? Is this what you will be asked? Of course not. We are developers. We are coders. We will do coding. This is not our duty. So, but this is a job profile exists in the market today. Now, the second job profile is pure HANA consultants. What HANA consultant do? They will provision the data, data provisioning using ETL tools. There are ETL tools like direct extraction connection, SAP landscape transformation, SLT, SAP business object data services, bots, yes, or flat file data provisioning, yes. So they will be responsible for bringing data, as I showed you in the diagram here, from different sources into HANA database, maybe whether it is a ERP or non-ERP or a BW HANA, they will be getting data from different systems, or even your company switching from one database to another, let's say Oracle to HANA. Their job is to migrate all the data from Oracle to HANA. This is what they will do. So this is the first thing what a HANA consultant or a native HANA consultant does. Then second, they will also do modeling, which I was telling you. Modeling basically of combining data from different data tables and bringing it into a simplified manner for reporting purpose. So this is called modeling, modeling of data. So this is where we build views like analytic or attribute or calculation views. So building views. Now this is basically a little bit of developer's job. So this is where even we will come into picture. So if there is a HANA consultant in your company, maybe they do this job, or at some time, some point of time, even a BAP consultant is asked to do this job. So this is why I will also cover this topic, which is though not directly related to our profile, but still you should be aware of, because sometimes what happens in a company, there is already a model which is built by somebody, and they will ask you, can you consume this model to extract the data? So if you don't even know what is a model, how do you do that? So this is one job which collides or which intersect with HANA consultant's job. The third job is which a HANA consultant does. They will basically do native HANA development. What is native HANA development? This is relevant for companies who buy HANA as a database only. They don't have SAP ERP. So just like Oracle, Oracle sell their database, right? Oracle, how Oracle become popular? As a database company, correct? So Oracle sell their database as an independent product. SAP also does that. SAP also sell HANA as a database as an independent product. So suppose you are CEO of a company and you're a very small company and you are looking in the market some database to store your data. You can go to SAP and you can say, hey, I want to use your database. Can you sell me? They say, sure, I can. So they can sell you HANA as an independent database. You don't have to understand ERP, S4, Suite, nothing. You just buy database from them. Just like you buy database from Oracle or Microsoft or IBM, you can buy database from SAP, which is HANA. So in case a company buy HANA as a database, only database, and they want to build some application on top. Yeah, they don't have a BAP, they don't have anything. They can still do that. So HANA comes with a small lightweight application layer, which is called HANA XS and XSA. And they can use technologies like Python, Java, and Node.js or JavaScript to build applications on top of it. Again, I'm repeating, this is only relevant for people or companies who don't buy HANA along with ERP, who buy HANA as an independent product. Yeah, this is called native HANA development. And in this, we cover topics like XSA, XSJS, XSDS, yes, Node.js. Yes, all these topics are typically covered as part of this journey. However, in case somebody is interested in this part, I have a training on this also on my website. So you can go to anubhavtrainings.com, and on anubhavtrainings.com actually you can actually find a training on this. We have conducted a training. It's called SAP HANA native development training. So in case you are interested, maybe in a long future, for developing native applications on HANA database, purely on HANA database, again relevant for those who don't have ABAP system in their company, you can go with this particular training in video mode. We have this training available for you if you are interested to learn how to build or native HANA development. In case your company purely runs on HANA as a database. I met one company CIO in one of the conference. They actually is a Gujarat based textile company. They bought HANA as an independent product, as a database. They don't know what is ERP. They don't know what is S4HANA. They just buy HANA as a database in their company. So when they want to build applications, they can go with native HANA development. So this is also another field of HANA, not relevant for you and me as a ABAP developer or as a BW developer or as a developer in SAP field with S4, but still it's a field in the industry. So these are called native HANA consultants. So you can actually attend my video mode training for that in case in the future you are interested on this. So this is what a HANA consultant do in the market. Now, the third kind of job profile which comes into market is application development or a consultant. So let me just put some points so that let's see if we can able to resonate with these points or not. So I will put some points. So we need developers who are working in SAP as ABAP consultant, and now my company implementing HANA by replacing Oracle. My manager want to know if my ABAP code built in past works on HANA DB as it is or not. This is a valid question from our management, that in the past we have written lines of code, hundreds of thousands of lines of code in ABAP code. Yeah. So I want to know that if my company replace Oracle with HANA, will that ABAP code is still valid? Will it work properly or not work, or will it cause issues? This is a concern from one of our company, and yes, somebody need to address that. Okay. So that is one point. The second point is we want to understand if my company using ERP on top of HANA database, how can we, so if my company is using ERP on top of HANA database, how can we build optimized ABAP applications? What do we mean by optimized web app applications? Basically, which runs faster on top of HANA. Third, how to best use HANA database with code to data paradigm. Yes. So I explained you that we want to push down more and more data intensive operations into database layer. We want to fully use this. Yeah, this luxury car which we bought, we want its performance to be used, right? So that is why we need we need some mechanism through which we will be able to do it. We need to know that, yes, how to best use HANA database with code to data paradigm. That is the next thing we want to know. Okay, next, my manager attended TechEd, or I attended TechEd, and they are always saying build CDS views, AMDP, etc. if you want to improve performance. So I want to learn these things and use in my project. Next, my company implement S4HANA. Now, since we were using old ERP, I want to know if my old ABAP code will work on this new system or not, and what activities I can do to make my old code work on new ERP system, which is S4 HANA. Yes. How to best leverage HANA with ABAP programming paradigm. I want to understand best practices and programming models which I can use in my day-to-day development activity. Yes. That is also I want to know if my company implement HANA, how can I best leverage it? Yes. Next, my company is environment is changing very fast. I am seeing that I am working as a BW consultant and they are firing BW people, and they are asking that with going forward we don't have a separate BW, we will use S4HANA. So how can I help my company as a BW consultant? I feel unsecure with my job. They ask me to learn S4HANA. So how can I save my job and upskill myself? My company asked me to build data model and new kind of Fury apps as we recently implemented S4HANA. When I go to Google and internet, I am confused. People are telling so many things. I don't know what is a good way to upskill now myself to actually build applications like transactional or analytical applications, or build data models which can be exposed as API or data to third party systems and solutions. Where can I learn all these things? Now my question to all of you, do you guys resonate with these points? Yes or no? One of these points or many of these points? Do you guys, are you guys resonate with these points? Are these questions come to you, or are these questions coming in your mind? Do you want to know answer of these questions? Is this what you can relate with your current job? Some of these points, few of these points, one of the point, or maybe all of them. If you are resonating with these points, these job requirements or these JD requirements, then you are at the right place, because this is the job of a ABAP on HANA consultant. Yes. And this training, I promise you, I will answer all these questions for you. That will be the power of this training. In fact, many more questions you will be able to answer by the end of this course. If that's the goal of this training, that's the reason you are here today. You are at the right place at right time. Yes. Is this clear, guys? Different job profiles around HANA. There are many other job profiles also, but these are the main job profiles around SAP HANA in the market today as of now, which companies are looking, and majority of them are looking at ABAP on HANA consultants. These are also known as S4 HANA consultants or S4 technical consultants. So usually you'll see openings like this, and they will ask you to do one or all of these activities in your company. Also, they will say how to improve performance of my ABAP code over the time in a suite on HANA or a S4 HANA system. Yes, this is what your company will ask you. And if you are able to resonate and relate with this, then yes, you are on the right track, you are on the right course. This is what our duties will be. And this is what, in this direction only, I will be teaching you this whole course actually. Yeah. So this whole course is actually for this purpose only. So with that, it's a wrap on our today's session. I will close the session. I'm so sorry today was more of a theory, but theory is important for you to just get ramp up right, make your foundation right. And then in the next class, we will begin our next topic, which is architecture of HANA. And then we will also set up our tool which I was showing you in the demo, the ADT tool. Yes, what is ADT? Why do we need that? How to set up? And most important question asked by many of you in the past, Anubhav, server access. Server access, Anubhav. How can I get a system? How can I practice your training end to end? Whatever you teach in this course, how do I access that? That also in the next class. So our next class topic will be, we will understand the architecture of HANA, the technical architecture of HANA. That will be the first topic, around 20 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes. And then we will discuss about the tools, which includes ADT and Eclipse installation. It's all, by the way, free and no Java knowledge required. Yes, no Java knowledge required. So this will be another 1 hour topic where I will explain you the benefits and how to use the tool, how to set up it in your company, in your personal or office laptop, free. And then we will talk about server access for this course. We already have S4HANA server access. Some of you have already paid for server today. That's okay. Very good. No problem. We will arrange a server in case you need it, or I will show you how can you use your company server. What are the different options for server access for this course? Yes, how can you use this course with the server? And we will do the connectivity, yes, with our server using the tool, and we will walk through the ADT features, and then we'll start new ABAP syntax topic if time permits in the next class. So these will be the topics of the next class. The actual coding or the actual hands-on will start from the next episode. Today's class was more of a ramp up for you to get used to or get comfortable with introduction to HANA. And now I will hand over to you guys in case you have any questions in today's class. I hope I was able to set the expectations right. And with that expectation, we'll move ahead and try to answer all of these questions over the time during our journey, during our training journey throughout this course. The video recording of today's class will be available by tomorrow 12 p.m. India time. So please wait for another 16 hours. And after 16 hours, you will certainly be able to view the video recording of our today's class over the weekdays. And we'll see you on next Saturday, 7 p.m. IST for our next class. Any questions before we close? Any questions?
Hi, Anubhav.
Hi, ma'am.
Actually, I wanted to ask one thing.
Yes.
If we change the type of a database, like column store and row store,
Yes.
so in that case, will the data will affect based on that? If we suppose it was previously row store and
Yes.
that table is in production, and then I have changed it to column store. In that case, what would happen?
The performance will improve. Nothing will happen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Can I get the PPT? So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the class, Lata, I showed you where do you get the PPT and the link. I already showed you. Once again, I'm sharing the link with you in the chat window. So, uh, we have our training blog where you will find the study material and everything about this class today. Yeah. So please refer that. Kindly check the subscription email which my team have sent to all of you. So that is where you will find the PPT and training material. Yeah. So kindly check the. Oh, you joined late. I give the link in the chat window already now. Please check the link in the chat window. Yes. And you can also see it here. I'm sharing my screen. And this is where you can go to material and you can go to click here to download and then you can find the PPT. So stay tuned. Maybe let me upload it right away. Just today's class PPT at front of all of you. I'll upload it right away. So go to training material, ABAP on HANA. Okay, ma'am, done. So this was our today's class session. After the class, I will always upload the material right away. But video recording takes time because we have to convert the video, we have to check the quality, we have to convert it to Ultra HD format. We have to ensure the quality of the video is good. We have to make sure editing is done properly so that you don't lose the time. And then if there are some topics unrecorded, so provide a backup for that. Everything we have to make sure a quality assurance, and then uh, finally send the video to our Amazon platform. And there we have to do sampling of our video so that it can play uninterruptedly for you in ultra HD and different formats. Yes, so that you can use our videos and training material smoothly on different devices as well. So that sampling has to happen. It takes time, around 4 hours. My team is working around the clock to make things available for you, on time basis, on the with the right quality. So that rest assured, you will certainly be getting the video recording for the training session for sure. So that you rest assured, don't worry about the quality. We make sure that we offer you a good quality and the good content for you always on the time. Thank you so much for your appreciation, sir. I will try to keep myself energy very high. And thank you so much for participating, all of you, to today's session. Server access, please wait till the next episode. In the next episode, I will transparently put everything across to you regarding server access. Okay. So please wait till the next class. All the questions related to server will be answered in the next episode.
Anubhav, in order to convert row store into column store for the previous question what she asked,
Yes, sir.
is it like, do we need to do that like SE14, we adjust
No,
the
sir.
database table?
For that, you
Is
don't
it
need to go
required?
to any database utility. You simply can go to your Z table or Y table, whatever you had created, and you can go to technical settings and DB specific and change to row store and just save and activate. That's it. And it will be converted. Again, I would say from a developer standpoint of view, it will not matter the way you create table or the way you manage table. It doesn't matter. It is the internal organization of data of the database. Yes, how database internally treat your data, which I explained you. Again, we are not the developers of HANA itself. It is built by SAP, but SAP gives some guidance that avoid using select star. So that guidance you can understand when you know the internal architecture, how database is managing the data behind the scenes. But from developer point of view, whatever you're doing here in SE11 till today, in since last 10, 20 years, it is the same thing. Doesn't make a difference. But it's just that since you know the internal aspects of HANA, you can just change the settings. By default, it's column store always.
So when you activate and anyway, we need to move the transport to production
Yes, sir.
and that will take some time to activate in production because we have data, huge data.
Yes, sir. It will take little bit of time when it reaches to
Okay.
production. Yeah, their database has to reorganize everything. Yes.
Okay.
So their
Okay.
database
One more.
has to
I
reorganize.
got that.
Mhm.
Yes. One more question on the indexing part. And you say that like for column store, the indexing is not required, but at any scenario, do we still create an indexing on column store?
Yes. So as you saw that in a column store, every individual column act like an index. Like for example, material column will act like an index. But what if you want a combined index? You want to combine two columns to make a secondary index, right? So in those situations, you still need secondary index by combining those two discrete columns. But a single column secondary index is completely avoidable in case of HANA and a column store database.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Anupam.
Also, if your table is a row store table, then also you need is still the index. Yes, that anyway you need, because still it is possible to have the row store tables in HANA. Okay. Thank you for your time, everyone. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Yeah, in case of code push down, so by default, all database queries are like pushed down to the HANA database and execute there, or like is there any option we can choose like whether code needs to be pushed down
Okay,
or not?
good question. So queries are naturally pushed to database always, right? That even happens in the traditional data, because queries itself means get me the data from database, right? So it is not about query. It is all about different techniques which I will teach you in this training, like HANA modeling, CDS views, AMDP, SQL scripting, view proxies. So please wait until we reach to upcoming episodes so that you will be able to understand the code pushdown techniques better. So I would request you to please park this question for time being, because it will confuse you. But in general, the overall perspective, if it is clear that we have to move our data intensive operation deep dive down into the database layer, that is beneficial for us. Yeah, that is something you need to understand. The perspective, if it is clear, in coming episode, it is my duty to make sure that I introduce all the techniques to you so you understand it better and apply it in your projects.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for your time today. I really